At the edge of the universe, 400 men and women are probing the immeasurable blackness of space. Their leaders are an Earthman with no fear and a stranger with no heart. Travel beyond our time and solar system, into new galaxies, into worlds beyond your dreams. Star Trek, every week, in color.
Oh, hello there. Hey, it's Friday, it's noon. It must be time for serious Star Trek, and that means it must be time for your hosts. You know him as Captain Fun. I call him Larry Young. Welcome back. And of course, the elegant, the admirable, the frequently on time, but not consistently, John Price, PhD. Hey, John.
Frequently.
Oh, man.
Frequently.
Shields up. The insults are coming.
We're switching focus in the show. We're going. We had a roast producer on last time, for goodness sake. So how could we not switch to a roast format?
It's true.
Yeah, it's so funny. Rick is like the chillest guy ever. So being a producer of the, let's give people shit show is just really kind of funny. Anyway, we had a good show last time, but we missed John. So let's do some Star Trek.
Man, let's talk Star Trek.
What's happening, fellas? What's new in the Star Trek universe?
I dressed up in my suit. I got the new scientist thing. It's a big thing for me personally because I usually get command stuff. But I liked it when they showed the medical thing. Instead of the black T-shirt, they used white for Nurse Chapel, and who's everyone's favorite character because why not? She's awesome. So I figured I live in the future. It's like $50 and a short wait for any Star Trek shirt you want.
It's pretty crazy.
Come on. Even my wife is like, "Oh, really? Well, I guess we'll be seeing that at Halloween." Like Halloween, you can see this on serious Star Trek.
Yeah, we'll call it Halloween.
Halloween,
on the internet. I haven't bought any new uniforms in a while. I'm starting to starting to really itch. What's that? Shaking, itching, whatever.
Didn't Gus eat your lower deck?
He did. He ate my lower decks command uniform, which I'm very upset about. I bought the Mrs. as a present, the lower decks science uniform, because of course the Mrs. is a very powerful scientist in a certain government organization. So, and
Section 31, just say
she doesn't wear it, but man can dream.
She must have put it on to try it, right?
She put it on once. It was kind of a half-hearted attempt to put it on, and I was like, well, just that's enough. Snapshot.
Mimi put on my Space 1999 spacesuit once, and she was had full-on flu. And I was like, look, here, this is going to suck. You're not going to like it. We don't have to ever do this again. Just put this on. We'll take a picture, and we'll go, hey, this is when you had the flu. And her face was just like, I got the flu. Yeah, but you were wearing a spacesuit. Yeah, so how bad
that makes sense. So I guess because my training is in like anthropology, I guess I would call it, right? So I guess that would be the sciences, but I don't particularly, and I have a ton of blue shirts in general, just blue dress shirts and blue polos and everything, but I don't like wearing the blue uniform. I don't like it. I'd much rather be in command.
You know why? Here's what it is for me. I won't speak for you. But for me, it's remember that Next Gen episode? I think it might have been Tapestry even, where Picard is wearing blue sciences. And it's completely presented as, here's when you're a dick. Yeah. You get to wear the blue shirt.
You've had no success in your career.
Right. So I'm like, well.
You get to hold a pad and take it to Geordi.
I guess sciences is cool, but it's always the ship's geologist that's getting killed by the space cloud, or it's or the folklore guy. You've never heard that.
No, who's that? There's the Greek mythology one, and then there's the the expert. What's her name? Danvers or whatever it was. The from
the historian.
Well, yeah, Marla
McGivers is
yeah.
And the chick who meets Apollo, she's the A&A officer, which is a really cool title for anthropology and archaeology. And that's like the job I would give myself in my own fan fiction if I was chronicling the career of Captain Jack Pierce. You know?
Wait, you would give yourself if you were to write fan fiction?
Yeah, like if I'm like a lieutenant.
Censors indicate an untruth, Captain.
No, right. Like it's like, if you're like, oh, chapter 4, I'm still a lieutenant, and I'm the A&A officer. I wear blue, right? But by the time you get to the end of the story, I'm like captain, and I'm never gonna stop being captain.
Well, yeah, that's cool. I mean, Picard's kind of like that, right? I mean, he's like unknown Shakespearean actor, right?
Yeah.
Just for like Picard, not Patrick Stewart. He's just like he's got a fucking Shakespeare first folio in his office.
Yeah.
Right? He's got a Rick Sternbach painting of his ship in his office.
It's true.
That guy's all about the story.
Yeah.
And the folklore.
Versus like Riker, who's just like, oh, I fly shuttles. Brr.
No, Riker's the party boy. Riker's like space bro. Like he's all about women and cards and playing the music.
That's true. That's true.
That's what I love about when Riker shows up in Lower Decks. He's like warp 5, 6, 7, 8. You can see him like off camera with a bong or something.
It's like, definitely the most realistic portrayal of Riker.
Like finally Riker is the guy that we want to see.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Mariner! I knew I'd find you here.
All right. Speaking of that, Lower Decks. Dantron, did you watch Lower Decks?
Lower what? I live it. Did you? They didn't watch Good Times in the Projects, Larry. You know what I'm saying? So I don't. That's not my thing.
I agree 100%. I'm not going to say in public what I said before the show, but I was not paying attention 100% to this latest episode because of that. Right? It's like, oh, Ryan. What's her name? Not Ryan. What's his name? Ransom and Beckett are off on something. Speaking of Riker. Which is why I was trying to say Ryan there. Because Ransom's obviously supposed to be the Riker guy.
Yeah, he's like,
And
he's a bro.
So I paid attention to that story, but the whole thing with the hunt and everything, I was like, yawn. But we did get that cool pic from Mike McMahon showing I don't even know the hunter's name guy.
Yeah, whatever.
The Predator guy. And he drew a picture of that character with Beckett's mom. Jack Quaid is your neighbor. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, he does one of the voices all right. He's a co-lead. I was going to say main character, but that
I love it.
I don't want to get called a misogynist again today.
I didn't watch.
Call me Buffalo Butt.
Yeah, I didn't watch this last episode because I was watching Penn State. And just screaming at the television how much I hate the quarterback. Is awkward. It's awkward because he's like, he's a college student, right? But then you remember that he's like 24 years old and he's in his like 8th year of eligibility, and you're like, well, fuck this guy, like stop throwing interceptions. How hard would that be? Anyway, I love the premiere. I saw the first episode and we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but it was great.
Since we can't talk about the actual story, and Peerless Loser, man, I wish he would tell us his name because he comes all the time, and I really appreciate when he throws in. But he lives
Quatloos, buddy.
He lives next to Jack Quaid, which I just found out this week. Like I always knew that he was Dennis Quaid's kid, and he kind of looks like him. So like I never really put it together that makes his mom Meg Ryan.
Wait, what?
Yes, I kind of found that out this week. I'm
what?
Like, oh, well,
say that again. Say that again for
all
the
sense
sheets.
of the world. But like, no wonder he grew up to be like sassy and hilarious, right? If your parents are Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan, like that's probably pretty cool.
Dennis Quaid hooked up with Meg Ryan?
What? You didn't? No, there was a whole. Come on, you knew that, didn't you?
I just think she's still with Goose. Like,
are you making fun of me? You must be.
No. Meg Ryan in my head.
Dude, there was a whole thing. See, my mom like lifetime subscription to
No, see, I
National
don't.
Enquirer and People and stuff. So like I would read it just to keep track of stuff that she would be talking about. And like, yeah, man, there was a whole thing when Russell Crowe and Meg Ryan broke them up. Like in the
Really?
80s. Yeah, in the 80s.
Dude,
In the 80s, Dennis Quaid
I
and
gotta
Meg
get
Ryan,
in.
that was like Brangelina.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
do love Russell Crowe, though.
of course,
I do love Russell Crowe.
I'm of two minds because like I love Russell Crowe. And
he's a great guy.
here's a
Just
cool
drinking and
story
fighting.
since you guys didn't watch Lower Decks. Mimi did the TED talk thing that everybody's all in love with now.
Mm-hmm.
In 1996, nobody knew what TED was, and Mimi was working for Adobe and cranked out their website. So for the first 2 TEDs, she got invited as part of their IT squad and took me. So I got like, once again, this miraculous life I have. Like all the people I know are like awesome, and I just get to screw in like without having earned any of this. So yeah, I got to dance with Meg Ryan. I gave shit to Daphne Zuniga about Spaceballs. The best was Burt Rutan, the guy who did all the Virgin Galactic rocket stuff. He was there. He looks exactly like old Wolverine, which was awesome. And I got a picture of me with him that my smile is so big it actually left the confines of my face. I was just so fucking. And people are like, "Who is this old guy that this guy's getting his picture taken with? That must be somebody cool." And I'm like, "Dude, you don't even know. This is a fucking real life Mr. Scott on Star Trek." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I guess so, kind of. My rockets are made out of rubber cement." And like, dude. Anyway, got my picture taken with Al Gore. That was cool. With the most awkward thing of all time, 9:30 at night. He's dead tired. He wants to just go up to his thing, and we kind of rush him. We were like, "Hey, man, just a quick picture." And he's like, "Okay, last one. That's cool." So we're standing there, and then we all stop and like, "What do you do?" Like afterwards. Well, I guess we all just kind of walk 10 feet to the elevator now and share the elevator ride up with you and your Secret Service guy. I was like, "Have a good night. I'll tell this story for 10 years later." Anyway.
I would like to clarify for everyone listening that I was picturing Randy Quaid, and that made no sense whatsoever.
Right. That's his brother.
So that's a whole
same genetics though. Like
that's
his brother. That's not his kid.
You know, he's got a little Randy Quaid in him. That's all I'm saying.
Randy Quaid's nuts though, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Possibly a criminal.
I think it's likely he's a criminal at this point, right?
Likely. Allegedly.
I think it's innocent until proven guilty, and they just can't get their hands on that guy. They can't lay their hands on Randy.
I'm with Andrew Feder. Look at that.
Randy.
He's giving you guys shit for not knowing that he was married to Meg Ryan.
He should.
Yeah. Oops.
Yep.
I thought it was Quaid from what was that? That was Arnold Schwarzenegger and
Predator.
And Total Recall.
Oh, yeah.
Total Recall. That's right. Yeah.
Anyway, I saw a picture of Jack Quaid where I was like, "Oh yeah, you look." I thought you looked exactly like your dad, but you look exactly like your mom, with like your dad's jawline and hair. So that was cool. I hope Walker takes after his mom, like Jack Quaid takes after it.
Yeah.
What's the new School of Public Policy lectures? I don't remember signing anything. No, Andrew's got us up. Anyway. All right. So now, since you guys haven't seen that, you want to talk about She-Hulk twerking, don't you?
I mean,
what else? You know what? And there's one more thing, Larry. Okay. We were talking about it a little bit backstage. It's like, why has there ever been, and you folks out there in the audience, has there ever been, even in a Star Trek parody, talk about who's designing the uniforms for Starfleet?
It's a really good question.
Every time you guys start, like when Larry starts going, "Did you see the braids on this Chinese piece of crap?" Like I go, that's exactly what's going on every 2 to 5 years. there's like a whole new fashion administration in
Sure.
Starfleet that sweeps in. And like in the 70s or whatever Stardate that maps to, it was open shirts and, arm hair. And it got slightly more uptight as we got into the Next Generation period.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And there should be a Starfleet Bureau of haberdashery.
That's what it is.
I think isn't that part of the, insignia and heraldry stuff that, they have to give those guys something to do because now they just made all the badges like the same badge because apparently you can't replicate your own shit. You have to move all those guys over into, it's not even fashion though. It's programming, right? Yeah.
What, there's still somebody with taste going like, oh no, honey, that is not going to work. Are you kidding? Do you see what that's doing to your shoulder line? That is off kilter, to say the least. This is the kind of thing I see going on, and I see maybe Larry, that could be you.
I want that job so bad. Everybody's like, I'm going to be the captain and show everybody. No, I'm like, no, I'm going to make sure that we're all wearing cool shit.
You call those tips?
I agree with Tony. I think we're the kings of uniform minutia, and I think Starfleet, frankly, should start paying us.
I love the NFL uniform committee. There has to be a Starfleet uniform committee.
There has to be.
There has to.
I mean, there's too many variations.
It changed so radically. Even the color schemes changed, right? So I just see some committee where they're getting together like teal or blue. I'm not sure. It doesn't really. That yellow is not bringing out the highlights and commands.
True.
I'm just feeling very. I don't know. We talked a little about this on my Facebook. I posted a picture of Dr. Crusher from Next Gen, next to fucking Captain Kangaroo, whoever that guy is. Everybody seemed to know who he was. And there are two guys wearing the science is blue, and it's different colors. So my buddy Justin threw in. He's a costume guy on the CW. He was doing Arrow, and he was just saying that like when they did the Flash uniform, like the same color fabric from the same vendor would be different colors. Just like there's just something about how the stuff is made. That you can't say, oh, everything's identical because it never will be. And so,
and then even under different lighting conditions and everything else, it appears wacky.
Yeah,
this is the problem with color TV today. I mean,
it's too good.
Back when everything was black and white, we didn't have these issues.
The TV I have is better than my actual eyesight. Like I can look in the room and like, okay, that's reality. And then I'll look at like Star Trek and go, fuck, really? Guys,
I'm getting hailing frequencies from the little woman. I'll be right back.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's good because John Suntrace just showed up. There they are. That I love when people write that because I saw somewhere somebody on I don't know, it wasn't Hot or Not, but it was an early iteration of
Are we on
one
Hot
of the
or Not?
No, one of the dating sites.
Okay.
And some guy proved that the most response from when you contact a girl is to go, oh, there you are. Because it makes people go, funny. oh, well, wait a second. So that's pretty funny. Go, there they are. I'm like, ooh, we're looking pretty good in these jeans today.
I could have used that information a couple years ago. That's all I'm saying.
I know. Now we're all three of us are married. It's like
now we're all tied up.
Like if there was some kind of altered carbon thing where I get to just swap bodies, I'd take over.
Yeah.
All the stuff I know now. But I suddenly look like Anthony Mackie. Oh, dude.
I mean, that's the go-to, right?
Right. Cut the check.
Cut the damn check. So
anyway, pull it out, man. I know you want to talk about the Shulky.
Yeah, how do you pronounce that?
Well, She-Hulk, right? So, Shulk. Nobody.
It makes me mad. Wait a minute. I got to get into the proper. Here we go. There we go. Okay.
Oh, now you're green.
I got to get into full.
Dan Banner.
This is the future, guys. And She-Hulk, you're right, Larry. She-Hulk She-Hulk is on my radar. So let's talk about She-Hulk a little bit. Let's talk about, for goodness sakes, the hatred of She-Hulk is so hilarious. And the fact that they like that little montage of reaction to the female superhero in that episode was so good. Mwah. Not to mention the Easter eggs buried. Like the one where he goes, is it true that the accident that turned you into She-Hulk is rumored to be a mafia hit? Like allusion to the original comic book, like really great little things. And all the criticism you see from, frankly, just dummies, like an internet full of dummies, the dummyverse is like not understanding She-Hulk at all, going like, oh, they're just doing Ally McBeal, blah, blah, blah. No, they're doing John Byrne's She-Hulk and contemporizing it. Definitely owes something to Ally McBeal, like to make it palatable.
I get that, like, people haven't read the comics. I don't think I've read Savage She-Hulk #1, but I did get that joke, right? But here, I'm going to make it easy for everyone, right? It's not fucking Ally McBeal. There's nothing that is missing. Just, it's Night Court with superheroes. Like, that's all you fucking need to know. If that bothers you, just don't watch the show. Did you not like Night Court? I don't know. I thought that was great. So now it's just Marky Post is green. Like, that's all you fucking need to know. Like, it makes me so angry that the talk about this show is being monopolized by morons. Yeah. Like, there's just no in between. They're like, oh, so that's what makes that bit so genius in episode 3. It's not like they wrote that in response to what people were saying. They anticipated that was going to happen, you know? And so the funniest thing is Steve Ukraine was mad that one of the things said, why do you have to have superhero women? And it was Hard Seltzer Steve.
Nice.
So of course Mark and I made fun of him the whole time. It's like, look, you're the poster boy for people who don't like giant muscular women. Like, why? What's the problem? Anyway.
Well, the other thing too, dude, the main gripe, the one that people seem to think has credence, is the CGI is bad on this show. And I go, look, I've seen better in feature films, but as far as a completely CG, like, main character interacting with people, they're doing a good job on a TV show budget.
Right. I mean, that's the content.
Pretty damn good.
It's like, not just that, like, she looks just as good as the Hulk. So are you just saying the whole show sucks? Well, yeah, because it's a TV show. They're doing what is it, 8 or 10 episodes? They're doing like 3 feature films all at once. So you got to spread the money around.
And they're tonally setting us up for future Hulk events, which are probably going to be super dark. But people don't understand. They're going up and down in tone just the way like comics do. Like, there are comics in the same Marvel universe that are wacky. She-Hulk is that comic. Like, it is completely fourth wall broken, going for laughs at the expense of logic and continuity many times. So, like, maybe not continuity, but anyway, the people I really are missing the point on that one.
See, you guys are getting caught up on this comic book thing. You can't expect fans of comic book entertainment to understand comic books, right? That just seems ridiculous.
Wait, what?
Right?
Yeah.
There's this whole, like, I don't know what you want to call them, cohort of people who call themselves comic book movie nerds, whatever they call themselves. They have no clue. They have no conception, no tie to the comics, whatever. And it's stupid. It's incredibly stupid. I was being sarcastic earlier. Like,
no,
but that's the thing about this show, is this actually kid reach people that they don't care. Like,
and those people don't give a shit because I don't give a shit about the comics.
Right.
I like She-Hulk. Don't give a shit about the comics. Done. Game over.
My big thing, you can't do anything about the incels who've never seen a happy woman before, right?
It's true.
But it's this twerking thing that I just makes me nonplussed. It's in this after credit scene that is by definition not part of the narrative, right? It's this funny little thing that's really information rich. Like she has a celebrity thing, right, that you can extrapolate in general from her response in particular to Megan the Stallion. So you don't even need to know that in the comic that she has celebrity clients because they're setting that up for you. And then they had a big win, and so they dance around the office a little. They cut to the boss who goes, not this again, right? Which gives you information that, you know, it's not a regular law office. That kind of shit's going to happen when one of your main people is green, right? And one of your clients is a shape-changing Norse dwarf, right? Or elf, or, you know, whatever. I don't know. I don't do Lord of the Rings. But like in this like 90-second scene, it's like so fucking deep for tone and richness and color, and people are just like, well, her ass is a little big. Like, really? That's what you take away from that? She's 7 feet tall. It's completely in proportion to what that character is supposed to do. And so then it's like, well, is it twerking that's giving you a problem? Yes, twerking is giving you a problem. Well, then you've never seen a woman have joy and dance around, and it's just this dance move because it's Megan the Stallion, right? If it was like fucking, I don't know, Stevie Nicks or something, everybody would be dancing around with incense, right? They're just, I know.
Larry, no,
Stevie
it's
Nicks.
all,
She's in her 70s. Me too, Stevie. Anyway,
it's the MCU. They don't treat the characters seriously like they used to in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? They don't give them the dignity that they deserved.
But then it's like, oh, but then it's exactly like the character was in the 80s. Like, if these are people who are mad, it's not like the serious version of She-Hulk, and they need to sit down and shut up.
I'm sorry,
it's Night Court.
We're in year like 37 of the MCU,
right?
When are people going to
like
give them the
50, 100 movies, right?
Like, they know what they're doing. Like, everyone, like, when are we going to give them the benefit of the doubt, dude? The MCU has perfected the after credit scene. They've perfected it. Every single one of them is either good, great, or perfect. Like. Like, there are no bad Marvel movies.
Even the worst ones are kind of like
that are better than others. But like the Marvel shows are just 10-hour Marvel movies. Like, what? When are we going to give them benefit of the doubt here? Like,
what I think is great is it's going to be a great tone shift when they've established this character. People like this character, even if it's just one season of the show. And they're going to bring her back after the Fantastic Four stuff comes in. You're sure to have a She-Hulk thing swap out or something like that. And you get to see the coolness of the character in different contexts, which just, I guess it's harder to stomach in live action when you see the same people, when you see them acting like what feels so out of character. Like, and it's not drawn in a goofier style, right? It's still the same actor or the same person. So I think it's creating cognitive dissonance in the heads of dummies everywhere.
That's true.
My problem is, why are we fucking listening to dummies? My entire life, we didn't start listening to dummies until about 20 years ago, when all the dummies had access to social media. Well, that's cool. Why are we listening to them? You're being stupid.
It's like when people cite IMDb reviews, and it's like, oh, really? Jack69 says that this movie barfs. Oh, okay.
Well,
that's good.
Right, and then all of a sudden it's on the movie poster, though. Right. Like, why are they doing that?
Well, I give it up to Feige because they knew, and the producers of the show and the writers, because they knew the backlash. Obviously, they anticipated it. But it's like, if you didn't do She-Hulk this way, you'd be doing it the wrong way. You'd be doing it in a really boring way, and comedy can be hit or miss. I'll admit some of the jokes and even a little bit of the logic with the Wrecking Crew encounter in the third episode, I'll call it what it is. It was a little, I didn't quite understand how they managed to get away with all their stuff when she kind of beat the crap out of them. So, like, there's certain parts of it that suspend you. But then, like you said, it's Night Court. And, like, if you look at it through the lens of a half-hour fucking sitcom,
Right,
It is
exactly.
light years above any half-hour sitcom format show that has ever attempted anything like that. So I don't know. I give it credit. Although I will say, Night Court jumped the shark when Roz died. Sorry,
What
dropping
are you
the
gonna
mic.
do? I just like what
R.I.P.
your point of, if they did this seriously, like if they did it seriously, all of the criticisms that the incel nerds have would be true, right? Like, because serious She-Hulk is like just a girl version of the Hulk. So
Yeah.
who cares? Like, but now they're doing something different, and you're going, oh, it's a girl version of the Hulk. It's like, are you watching this before you hit send on your keyboard? Because no, that's not true at all. She doesn't want to be the Hulk. Anyway,
I don't
whatever.
understand the aversion people have to reboots or reimaginings or whatever, or even like gender swapping. It's the same thing, but they made it a girl. It's like, yeah, that's how stories work.
That's
Like,
the
I
thing,
don't.
though. Like,
I just wrote this whole thing about this, and I don't think it's very good. I don't think it's very articulate to the point I was trying to make, but I wrote it. And the point being that like there is no original story of Cinderella, right? There's the Cinderella that Disney told you is the story of Cinderella. There's the Cinderella that the Grimms wrote, and then before the Grimms, there was 7,000 years of Cinderella that no one ever wrote down, right? So it's like, oh well, Lifetime wants to make Cinderella, and she's black now. Okay, it's still Cinderella.
Yeah,
like it's still like it's just a different iteration of the story. My favorite Cinderella is the Disney one. Okay, good for you. So it's like the same thing with these comic movies. Now we have a whole different situation in pop culture because we have like copyright, and we actually do have the origins. We can say, oh, Stan Lee invented this character. Like that's a little bit of a twist on it, but we still have this idea of like stories change, and it's like, oh, we want to take this story and reimagine it in a new way. Okay, the interesting part is why you're doing it. Like the reimagining itself is not the interesting part, and people get stuck up on that part, and it drives me nuts. I don't know. Does that make any sense? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing that's so funny is that they reboot comic book stuff all the goddamn time.
Right, exactly.
So if you dig on, Green Lantern is now John Stewart when it used to be Hal Jordan and it used to be Alan Scott, then what's the fucking problem? Like the whole thing of Stan Lee inventing something, it's like, sure, except this is the John Byrne version with a little Dan Slott.
And
right?
This goes back to the fact that the people who are controlling the pop culture narratives right now, they don't know shit about comic books. Like they don't. They're 23 years old, and their first movie was fucking The Wolverine. Like they don't know what they're talking about. They grew up in a cinematic universe context, not in a comic book universe context.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I think that's an important distinction.
I agree, but I think they suck because my kid was Tom Holland, right? He's the little boy in Iron Man 2 that is dressed up like Spider-Man, that has grown up with Iron Man always being like cooler than Superman. Like before 2008, no one knew who fucking Iron Man was in the real world.
Real thing.
I'm sorry.
It's Ghostface Killer. That's who Iron Man is.
So now, but my kid is like, he's like, okay, I get that. Now I'm down with all the Avengers. And he's up at the point where like, She-Hulk's not my favorite thing, but it's no WandaVision. And by the way, this is just what we have to get to so she can trade quips with Tom Holland and Ryan Reynolds in Secret Wars. So like like you said, we're on like year 35. Like, how does the audience not know that if this is kind of like a growing pains, kind of like they don't really know what they're doing kind of thing, that I feel that way? Like, it's going to turn into something. Like everybody hated Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
Right.
And then they do that one shot where it's like, oh, okay, I kind of get what they're doing. Then they put him in Shang-Chi and he's got a little baby Yoda and he's everybody's favorite character. Now everybody's like screaming and jizzing everywhere. He's going to be in Wonder Man. Well, that is what fucking Marvel does the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, people watching She-Hulk are watching the Ed Norton Hulk that was like everyone's most hated Marvel movie. And now it's like, oh, this matters now, right? Oh, Tim Roth is actually a really good actor. Holy shit, he's the guy from Pulp Fiction. Like, just fucking use your brains, people. It's all there for you.
That's the power of those characters, like especially when you're talking about like myths and folk tales and things like that, is that they survived because of the story elements survived around them. You can plug anything you want into them. It's that amorphousness that made them survive, that made them universally applicable and memorable in a time when we didn't have devices to store those memories. Like the storytelling had to be badass around that campfire so that like not only your kids remember it, but their fucking great grandchildren are still making movies about that shit because it's just so dialed in. And then as the Romans took over, like you adapt things a little bit, you know what I mean? You come along with the new version of the gods.
Absolutely.
And with their new names and their new affects and their new relationship to current society. And so that's what Golden Age, Silver Age, Modern Age superheroes. And it's Feige, like we're now like it's like postmodern version of that for film. Now they can take all that and synthesize it into like a smooth, fudgy flow of content that just continues to ooze out. Like it.
Yikes.
How many
brown Play-Doh?
It's a fun factory. Yes, it's just like, but now they're just stepping on it, and it is. There's so much coming out that it's either going to hit peak. It's like a Marvel bubble, right? Just like our economy went through a tech bubble just this year. Like we hit this point where the valuations of stock were so ludicrous that they crashed like 80% or more in many cases. I feel like that could happen to Marvel movies, never. To the foundation of the thing.
You know what? Well, and I guess like for me, like I don't give a shit about comic books. Like I'm not like super invested in these characters, right? But I watch them and I enjoy these things. And even if I'm not enjoying it, there's still something in my head that says, well, this is an MCU thing. They're gonna nail the landing. Like they are, because they've nailed every single landing. Like, and until they don't, you have to give them that benefit of the doubt.
It's because Feige understands that it's modern mythology, right? So it's like, not every people don't like every single Hercules adventure from his 12 things, right? So
he's got some weird ones.
So exactly, and so every once in a while you're
gonna get erotic adventures of Hercules. That's my favorite.
You're gonna get one that's like, this one kind of plays like a side quest, but that's fine because it's a universe, right? I just that's what I think is so funny about the rest of Hollywood going, we're gonna duplicate Marvel's success. It's like you can't, you absolutely cannot.
Well,
it's never going to happen.
Not to bring it back to our least favorite topic, but there's one franchise that already has a quote unquote cinematic universe, like, feel and makeup to it. And what do? They put fucking Discovery and Picard and fucking make the
and they tear it apart.
They keep trying to reboot it. You're exactly tear it apart and reboot it. And instead of doing what the MCU does and keep building the universe, these fucking morons, all they do is tear it apart. And no wonder why we all pissed and we don't watch it and they don't sell any merchandise and the ratings are awful. Stop ruining the things we love.
Man, we're on a tear today. Because it really is. The underpinnings of the stuff we love are either rock solid or people don't understand what underpinnings are. Right? Like John Sunsroy is saying DC needs a Feige desperately. They can't do it.
Yeah.
They can't do it because there's too many cooks in the DC kitchen, right? The reason Feige works is because they let him alone and went, do your thing, man. Yeah. And then he was successful. And then they went, we did have some notes, but you obviously know, so we're not even going to tell you. And then, every once in a while they get one that doesn't hit with the audience, but that doesn't make it bad, right? he goes, oh, that didn't hit, so let's make a little adjustment, and now he's Machine Man's best friend,
Like,
right? And everybody goes, wee.
Yeah, Eternals was not a big hit of a comic book either, right? Like it kind of like in the movie didn't hit. It was the least successful, or one of the less successful movies. But like it's still woven in a way that you can pull in what you care about it and kind of forget about what you don't in the way that that comics always do. You're right, Larry. That's Feige's secret, but I disagree that they couldn't replicate it unless they. But the only way, the qualifier, is they got to give somebody that executive control.
Right. They can because
get Jeff Johns out of there. Yeah,
they tried with Zack Snyder, and then they cut him off of the knees halfway through. I mean, I don't particularly like the Zack Snyder stuff, but like at least the man had a fucking ethos, you know? Like,
right, exactly. They should have let him finish it and then go, oh, everybody.
They let Christopher Nolan do his shit, and like those are not universally loved. Like they just left him alone. Like why not? Whatever.
Dude, they could have like let Snyder finish with a couple of movies and then pulled a Crisis movie, and the whole thing gets rebooted, and they get to do their whole.
That's what I was going to say. You got to finish the story before you change.
Like, right? I mean, those are all DC characters, right? On the Berlanti stuff.
Yeah.
Berlanti, yeah. He crushed it for a few years there, right? Like, so it is possible. Just like you're saying, just let one guy like have a vision and execute that vision.
Unified vision at the top of those things that made it successful. Although, did you see the thing about the CW network that was like the average age of the CW watcher is like 67 years old or something? Yeah. Insanity.
I mean,
so
that's why Berlanti's success is also Mike McMahon's success on Lower Decks.
Mm-hmm.
Is like the studio guys just left him alone because they didn't care.
Yeah,
it's like how Frank Miller got Daredevil, right? It's like Daredevil was in the shithole. Nobody cared about that character. They were going to cancel it, and Miller was like, "Hey, let me do my thing." And then all of a sudden, it's like a ninja detective story, and it was the coolest thing ever. And now Charlie Cox has got a job, and so that's the thing about not just let the guys alone, and you get cool shit, right?
Well, and like, okay, sorry.
Well, I think that's why they killed the Batgirl movie, though, to be honest, is that it was too CW-ish. I feel like the new people at the reins are going like, look, if you're going to do Justice League, you're going to do Batman, you do it A+ or you don't do it, right? We don't want these. Because as successful as the Berlanti verse has been, it's made plenty of money. There's not like ongoing revenue streams at the same way that there are from
That's the thing. They canceled it because it was made for HBO Max, right? So it did. You're absolutely right. It read a little TV. And they're like, why are we wasting Michael Keaton on TV stuff, TV level stuff? And that's why this is the one time when, I read all this press where they were going, look, we just want you to know it wasn't the actors. It wasn't anything about the quality of it. They did exactly what we asked them to. It's just, we don't need that anymore. That's all it is.
But even then, like, why not release it? Like, if you're not disapproving of it,
well, I totally get that too. Because now you're only out $90 million. It costs at least that much to market.
Right. At least, yeah.
So and then
this is the classic regime change. This is the classic regime change.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So a new head of the studio. Everything that the old guy green lit that I can possibly still kill, I gotta kill because otherwise, why did they hire me? Right. That's the classic thing. So like that doesn't surprise me. But what surprised me more was all this flip-flopping on the Snyderverse. I never in a million years thought they would release the Snyder cut and not as officially as they did, like here's a thing. And now they're going back and saying, "Oh, maybe I read articles. It was a mistake. We shouldn't have ever done it."
No, nobody at Warner said that. Those are all the outgoing guys. They pitched those articles like, "Oh, insiders at Warner say." No, they're not insiders anymore because they all got fired. That was just bullshit. But But the Snyder thing, I totally get why they did that, because now you only have to pay $70 million to finish this giant event thing for HBO Max during the coronavirus, when
True.
everyone's sitting in their living room. Just do I have to watch Raiders again for the 25th time? No, here's some fucking cool ass thing. It took us 3 days to watch that because it was so long, and we were so happy. And like, nobody really liked it, but we liked hanging out together, watching this shit, and going and being able to pause a theatrical movie in the middle of it and go, "Oh, we need popcorn, and I gotta pee." Right? That was valuable to them, but you never get that again.
Peeing is valuable.
Well, and the marketing thing has changed and is changing, right? Like you said, like there's no marketing costs or whatever to release it on a streaming platform.
Exactly.
Almost none. But like, so with less and less people going to the movies and the price of tickets going up and whatever, and the cost to get eyeballs to know about the movie in time to see it in the movie theaters is so expensive that it's tripling the budget of $100 million movies. Is that not just that's just like the hockey stick cycle of movies going away?
Yes.
For good. I think it's happening.
Movies will never go away, but they will eventually be Shakespeare's first folio and Picard's office. You know what I mean?
It's the hardcover book.
It'll be like, there'll be a cool movie that like, that's the movie you get for August, right?
Well,
and it's $100 a ticket, and it's a big event.
I have to defend, because a lot of people, especially this is taking it to the real world real quick. People will mock like some of the liberal arts degrees and humanities, and film studies. What are you going to do with that? It's like, well, you are studying pop culture's canon. That's what you're doing. You're doing the exact same thing you did in literature class when you're dealing with Shakespeare, and you're doing with Keats, and you're dealing with all the great works of art. You're just doing it with the new works of art. And things were only canon because everyone got in a room and decided they were canon, right? So now if we all decide that Raiders is canon, well, spoiler alert, Raiders is fucking canon. And also, Shakespeare was not meant for the upper echelons of society. Shakespeare was pop culture. Shakespeare was making his things so that, do you know how many dick jokes are in Shakespeare? Like, literally, every single play has dick jokes in them, even the ones that aren't funny. So because he knew it was going to be shown to an audience of illiterate morons who wanted to throw tomatoes and laugh and get drunk, right? Now we are the illiterate morons who want to laugh and get drunk and throw tomatoes, so we put on Raiders, like, or MCU movies, or fucking, I don't know if you can laugh at any Snyder movies, but you can try.
That's what I love about Shakespeare and Star Trek, though, because because of what you said, and that's why Discovery, like,
they don't get it.
Playing, doing needle drop for music. It's like, no, it's not the same thing at all.
They don't get it.
Like, so yeah. Anyway,
hey guys, I gotta wait a minute. John Citrus says me either. Dan, I don't know what he's agreeing with me about, but I wanted to say that next time we need a guest host, Larry, we got to talk to John, because dude, I see his podcasts and his shows out there, and he's pulling down guests. He's talking about great topics. I think he would be super awesome to be on the show.
I do too.
Great.
I've loved him forever. He's a worthy guy who sits in the Radio Hall of Fame. Yeah, see, we made votive candles for him.
Hall of Famer John Sunders.
And the thing about John is he's like a quadruple threat. Like, he knows comics, he knows movies, but he knows sports, and he knows like old kinescope things. He just like, I try to know 10% of 10 things with my 100% brain, so I got everybody a little covered, and I get to talk, and I know guys, and I get to learn stuff. But this guy, he knows like 100% of 100 things. Like, I don't get, like, my brain's just not that big.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So
he's good on you. By the way, I got DM'd. Wait, let's see. I got DM'd here. This was from Andrew Fetter, and this is us streaming live at.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's us. And then what else did I have? Oh, I had this thing, Larry.
Thank you, Andrew. That's
there
awesome.
we go.
Or wait, no, that was Tony, right? Tony put us up. Or was it Andrew? I don't know. Whoever put us up, that's cool. Thank you very much.
How do I get us back?
Andrew, it was
Yeah,
Andrew. UMD's School of Public Policy and Lecture. That's awesome. All right.
That's funny. Very cool. You guys get Quatloos.
Someone's super annoyed right there. I have some
You guys
content.
get
What the
Quatloos.
fuck? What is going on with the green dude?
Quatloos.
Quatloos.
Give me those Quatloos, baby.
You know what we should do? We should do a what's the opposite of blanket amnesty? We should do just like
Condemnation.
Caesar. No, the opposite would be like Caesar like largesse, right? I'm just saying. I think everybody who's in the comment section today needs a Quatloo.
I agree.
That was cool. I'll take care of that. I'll try to find these people.
Send your addresses.
These guys must be on our Facebook group page.
Yeah.
Just get on the group
Go join
page.
the Facebook group.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell us your addresses. So we can send you things.
I get how people don't want their addresses in public, but
Sure.
yeah, I'll start a thing and say just DM me if you want a Quatloo, and I will know because I will look and see.
You want to be swimming in Quatloos like me? Just DM Larry. You know Larry. You get a hold of that guy. His name is Captain Fun. He has these things manufactured by the dozen. He's got boatloads of them. So,
Captain
replicate
Fun.
Look, here's one right now.
I have breaking news. The College Football Board has decided to expand the playoff to 24 teams starting in 2024.
What did they have before?
4. It's currently a 14 playoff.
Huh.
And
That's
it's very awful.
They're like doubling the size. That's a
12. They're tripling the size.
That's a money thing, isn't it?
I hate college football so much. So much. They're ruining the goddamn sport. Anyway,
You know, at least they're
bring
not
back
sporting.
the BCS.
At least they're
Bring
not
back
sporting.
BCS. Bring back BCS.
that sound means that my headphones are almost out of power, and it also means that we brought up sports. That's the
Yeah,
one
we
time.
can pull it now.
What a
Should have seen our viewership plummeting as nerds are like, what is he talking about? Rollerball? Like, where's the sci-fi connection? But guys, I gotta get out of here. I got a new lunch appointment with my wife right here, and my headphones are dying. So, thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for watching today. I really appreciate you tuning in to Serious Star Trek. Hey, do me one favor. My name's Dan Tron, by the way. Do me one favor. If you haven't already, please consider hitting like on this video. And maybe if you haven't, go to YouTube and hit subscribe on this channel. We're growing and growing. We come back every week. We bring this love for you guys. Believe me, it ain't for the Quatloos, but it's for the love. We're going to come back. You know, I know we're coming back. It's going to be, wait a minute, a week from today is Friday, right? And then I know it'll be 12 o'clock noon. But John E. Price, PhD, where will that be?
I think it'll be on the internet.
Cholesterol levels of many Americans are too high, but for a group of people in New Jersey, cholesterol went down. They joined in a total dietary program to reduce cholesterol. Less fats, lean meats, egg and cheese substitutes, and highly polyunsaturated foods, including Promise margarine. Promise is highly polyunsaturated. The results? Their average cholesterol level went down significantly. And Promise tastes like butter. Promise.